Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Take the Leap. Really excited to chat with you today, Ashlan.
Yes.
Just the two of us. How are you doing?
Doing good. It is sunny and beautiful here, so I cannot complain.
That's awesome. It has been beautiful here in Portland, too. So depending on when this gets released, which will be next week, hopefully that's still the case.
I was going to say, hopefully you guys don't get like third, fourth winter. We just had friends in town from Portland, and as they were like I was getting ready to take them to the airport. They were like, "Oh, it's going to be nice there." I was like, "Yep, you're taking the sunshine back with you." So,
and we're going to keep it.
Yes, exactly. You guys
really
should
like to keep
it. Exactly.
Yeah. I say it should be summer.
Yeah, right. I know. Getting so close.
So close. Okay, well, today we are going to chat and kind of debrief on our wonderful interview with Megan Ekman. That was an incredible episode. I loved every second of it, and always just love talking to Megan anyway. But one of the topics we talked a lot about was following curiosity, not trends. And so there are a couple things I want to say about that. I mean, first of all, I guess that's kind of the one thing that stuck out for me in marketing. Like, I've been doing this for well over a decade now, and, I went to school for it. And the things that I learned about marketing and everything back then versus what we're doing now is completely different. Like, while there are some foundational things that I learned and, can apply everywhere, things have just changed. The way we communicate with people changes constantly. The formats, the platforms change. Even right now, like Instagram and Facebook are, they're both owned by Meta, and they are not performing super well anymore. Whereas if we had done this a couple years ago, that was kind of a different story. And like the way hashtags work, very different now. And, there's so many examples I can give. So I guess what I took from that conversation, it was a really good reminder that instead of focusing on what's trending and instead of focusing on, like what everybody else around you is doing right now in the moment, which it is helpful to know what trends are out there and kind of be on top of new technology and things like that. But I think as an entrepreneur wanting to grow your business, I think the best thing you can do is be curious about your customer, about yourself, about what it is that you can provide, and to just kind of observe and pay attention and ask questions about things happening around you instead of focusing on, what's trending on Instagram right now, or what TikTok should I do next? It's a more long-term strategy, I think, that people are going to pay more attention to. So what are your thoughts?
Well, it's that idea of being strategic about things, right? And building those foundations. And I know one of the things that Megan also said was like not doing that deep work of like really understanding your brand and really understanding your customer. Because if you do kind of like lean on trends, you're not being uniquely positioned as yourself. You are going to look like everybody else. I mean, I think, um, like I always like to do, compare it to like other things that we have in the world, right? Compare it to like fashion. When you see somebody who's wearing like the exact same thing as you out, because it was like on trend, you usually don't feel as great, about yourself, or operate with the same confidence. And also, when you operate in that way, your brand is easily replaceable with that other brand. So that this idea, I think I might have said it out loud during that episode, but like find your weirdos and find your weird, like understand what makes you uniquely you, and also why that makes you uniquely positioned to be able to take care of the clients and customers that you want to take or be working with and taking care of. It's much more important and will provide longevity for your brand and your business than just being like, oh, I'm able to, like you said, do this trend or this TikTok dance or use this this thing that's in the now that will, disappear in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's such a good point. And just to kind of spiral off of that, like the part about branding and just not knowing your brand and everything about it, it's so important. I don't exactly know where I'm going with this thought yet, but it I work with a lot of clients who will come to me and say, I want X, Y, and Z, like I want to run this social media campaign, or I want to sell this course, or I want to sell this product, or, whatever. And I say, okay, great. And we talk about doing one specific marketing activity. But then I go and I do some research and I look at their website, which is not set up for receiving new people. Or, they put together this really flashy campaign, but then when it comes to their website, their social media platforms, and everything else, none of that matches the campaign at all. In meaning it's like two different companies wrote them, And the problem with that is if you constantly operate that way, you're going to confuse the shit out of
the people.
Out of the people. So they're going to be kind of turned off. So that's like the first step. But then second of all, if you don't know who you are as a brand and you don't understand who your target audience truly is, you can't ever connect the two fully. You're going to get people who aren't a good fit for you, or people aren't going to want to buy your product. They're going to, like you said, they're going to tune you out because you are replaceable. There are other people who are doing that connect with them more. And so, and you can't connect truly with your audience until you know who you are. I like to think of your brand as like a personality, right? Like it's a whole ass human with traits and wants and desires. And you need to understand that on a very big level if you want to write content that's effective, or create an experience for your customer that actually makes sense. Yeah,
That's like really good way to put it too, of thinking of your brand as a human, because like each of us can know people that we like and we like to do stuff with, and then people that we're just like, that's not my cup of tea, and think about what those traits and what are those things that make it frustrating, like if you've ever, I'm going to go back to like the dating and marriage analogies again. Like if you were with somebody that you're like, you don't know who you're getting that day. Are you getting Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? Like you're probably going to walk away. And that's the same thing with brands. If you're like, you are trying to be this and this does not make sense when you're also trying to like do this, it's not going to really fly with your customer. And if you're struggling with something like that, phone a friend, ask around, be in community with people. We just had a guest recently who shared that they fired a client after talking collectively with the folks in the Commonwealth, which is, just so helpful to have people to run things by, to make sure I know that, I often send stuff to Tori and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of this really crazy thing. Does this sound okay? Or, should I be rethinking it? And she will give me honest advice on it as well, which is helpful to have. So
absolutely. That's why, like, I very much appreciate our friendship and the friendship we have with others in the Commonwealth. And then this kind of segues perfectly into kind of the last thing I want to make sure I mention was just building space for you to have joy. And I get that through my friendships, and I get that through connecting with you guys on a business level, but then also, like we talked a lot about, because Megan Ekman is in the Feral Book Club with me, and you are an honorary member as well.
A long distance friend.
Long distance member. But reading again and then getting together and talking about reading, and it's not even like, it's not business books, like we're very intentional about reading for fun and having, and like some of it's smut, some of it's romantasy, some of it's completely unhinged. And
I'm going to mention it. I just added to my Kindle the Veggie Tale related smut.
Pounded by Produce.
Pounded by Produce, yeah.
I have not read yet, which I'm going to read soon. Building joy and allowing yourself to enjoy things again really helps to improve your creativity and your focus and clarity on your work. And I know this firsthand because I went from, I love to read and I love to write. And for years those were my hobbies. And then I graduated college and started working and went way deep into like that hustle culture and girl boss culture, just trying to get ahead of my career. And I felt like I could only read if it was like an adult book, like not for fun, but like to learn something, And surprise, surprise, I stopped reading because I wasn't interested in reading these books. They were so, they were all written by basically the same person with the same advice. And I was just getting sick of it. And I think I just, with that coupled with doing a lot of reading and writing for work too, I think I just got burnt out and I stopped reading for fun. And I didn't even realize that I had done it. Until last year when I picked up some really fun romantasy books, and then I started talking to Mary about them, who also was reading. And then she was like, oh my gosh, you have to read these books about dragons. And I was like, okay. And then like the Feral Book Club, came from there. And I think I've been reading. I mean, I read over 100 books last year, and I have started to become creative in my business again. I've started writing again. I've been into it. Like, I got to a point where I was so burnt out from client work and from doing other things, and I wasn't doing anything for me. And so I was just doing the bare minimum for everyone else. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm excited again. I'm excited to work. I'm excited to read. I now read for fun. I also will read some other things too, but like everything I read is for fun for the most part. And that the impact that has had, I'm now just rambling about reading, but
it's okay. I think everybody should read. Like, everybody should read. I've heard from folks before, they're like, oh no, I can't. And I was like, there has to be something that you can find that you can like, or listen to books on audiobook. I think that is totally a thing that could happen too. But I feel like reading, consuming words, it makes you just better. at understanding people, at understanding problems, at being able to write, because you can, like, we've already said this, I'm very judgy of Sarah J. Maas's writing. Like, I feel like for a lot of the books that I borrowed from you, I could read like the beginning 10 chapters and the ending 10 chapters and be good. Sometimes the middle is really messy. But then to get through that, I'm just like, okay, like I'll just read faster, and I'll start to skim it if it's kind of feeling like it's dragging. But it's still really important, because not every moment of every day and time when you're an entrepreneur is supposed to be go. I guess comparing it to like entrepreneurship, not every moment is supposed to be go, go, go. You are supposed to have those lull times. You are supposed to have those boring moments. You are supposed to have those admin days where all you literally are doing is like checking things in a spreadsheet or working on stuff in your QuickBooks. Like, that is part of the process. And when you read those kind of lull moments in a book, or, if you're watching a TV show and you're like, wow, this whole section we watched, I don't know if you'll ever watch the movie Mickey 17. It was about like 20 minutes longer than it needed to be. There was definitely some fluff in there, but life is filled with fluff moments sometimes that you just live.
Plus, I think too, it's just like taking yourself completely out of real world sometimes. That doesn't mean you have to read fantasy, but like, it's a really good example of like reading about fantasy about these characters who are constantly in danger and like constantly, on the verge of death. And then, they're constantly in war and there's so many challenges and things that they have to overcome. Putting yourself into like a very high stakes situation that isn't real, and then, having that end and coming away from that, like, really I think it just helps put things in perspective, but then also like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is a challenge. All people go through challenges. All characters have a journey, right? And I'm on my journey, and this is how my journey is going. And it just, I don't know. It just, like you said, you can put yourself in other people's shoes. I think being able to be empathetic is like a huge bonus of reading. Like, I feel like putting yourself, even if you don't relate to the main character, chances are, like, if you're into the book, you at least can empathize with them. Like, when I'm reading a book and the main character is feeling really lonely, sometimes my chest will hurt. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, I will feel lonely for them. If they are feeling really happy and excited, I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. This is so sweet. I'm so happy for them. Like, they did this, they made it. If they're, they were feeling really weak and like, run down and like people were just walking all over them and they finally stood up for themselves. Like, I'm like, yes, go, you got this. And it's like, it's just, I could talk about reading forever. Like, reading makes you a better person. At the end of the day, reading just makes you a better person.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we got on this from finding your joy will help you in entrepreneurship to you better fucking start reading right now. But I kind of liked it. I kind of like where this conversation went.
Yeah. And if reading, we are both avid readers, obviously. If reading's not your thing, finding joy in something else, picking up and doing I would say finding joy in something that is not being at the screen or on your phone. Like, those two things, I feel like we as humans need to have a separation and a detachment. Go to a museum. I just took a couple of vacation days because people were here visiting. Got to go spend a pool day and get a cabana. It was so, so nice. But like, even just having that separation for a couple of days has made me such a more productive human this week. Like, knocking out major projects, like almost finishing our website redesign for Take the Leap. By the time this episode publishes, it will be up and running, and we hope you will all take a look at it. But yeah, being, creating those joy moments to help you through the slog that entrepreneurship can feel like sometimes is really important, I think.
Absolutely. And I think, just to reiterate that we're all human. We're not machines. And as an entrepreneur, it is really difficult. Like at least for me, I know it is for me, and I know it is for some other people too. I have this thing in my head that's constantly telling me, well, you have a few hours today on a Saturday and you should be productive with them. Or, you know, I know you've been working all day, but if you work for another hour or two, if you work through dinner or through bedtime or whatever, like then you'll be ahead. Or, you know, and there's this constant feeling like if I'm not working, I'm not making money, or I'm not actively working towards making money. But on the days where I'm like, okay, I'm tired, I feel my energy going down, I need to take a break. I know that I need a weekend to recover. And if I don't take that, like, yeah, I might get some work done, but then I'm burnt out, and then I'm not as creative or productive the next day. Or it takes me, if it might take me like 10 times longer to do something because I'm just tired. And so I guess paying attention to your body and prioritizing joy and prioritizing self-care, like really is the trick to being more productive and successful. Anytime I prioritized that over just working, I've done better in my business. So
Absolutely. I agree.
Well, that was a fun little conversation.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, Ashlan, I want to know what your win for the week is.
So my win, as I had mentioned in a previous episode, I am doing Book Riot's Read Harder Challenge. I have officially crossed off a book on the list. It was probably the easiest one to do. It was to read a romance book that didn't have like a Fabio style cover. So I consumed that thing like so fast. And then I was actually she has more in the series. It's like other characters that were part of this book, but it's not the same two. So I'm like, all I want is more of their love story. But anyway, so yeah, the smut is knocked off the list. And just in general, I've been reading more. I still have my pile of books on there. And what I need to stop doing is I'll read like a couple chapters of one, and then I'll read a couple of chapters of another, and then, keep doing it that way. And I'm like, okay, you should probably just stick to the one and just go all the way through as well. So yeah. How about you, Tori?
Well, I think I'm going to stick to the reading theme this week. So it's actually kind of funny that we have these as our wins, and but I've been reading a ton lately too, and I'm counting this as a win because I use your local library, friends. Please support your local library. They need it. And that is what I've been doing. And I'm doing my best to not buy new books and rent them from the library, or, if I have them on my shelf, stuff like that. It's, not always 100% successful, but that is what I'm doing. And so anyway, with our local library, there's been a lot of books that I've been wanting to read that's been on my list for a while. And a lot of them are kind of more popular titles. So when I rent them from the library, at least here in Oregon, there's usually quite a bit of a wait on some of them. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. Just put them on hold. And then when the universe decides it's time for me to read the book, when it becomes available, I will read it.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to sound like a very weird win, but all of these titles became available at the same damn time. And I can't renew the titles and give myself longer with them because they're more popular books. So I've given myself a challenge to basically read like 10 books in the last like 2 weeks. And I'm getting there. There. My husband is constantly laughing. He's like, I don't know how you're doing this. He's like, you're not going to finish this in time. And I'm like, watch me, motherfucker.
We've got it. Yep.
And I'm doing it. So I've been reading. My win is that I've gotten, I don't think it's 10. I think it's actually 8 books. And I only have a few more left to read.
Nice.
And I've been turning them in on time. So, yeah, that's my win that's my very long answer to that question.
I love that.
So now that we've talked about our wins, what's one thing that you would like to do better this week?
My do better is I really, really, really need to start going to the gym regularly. So, like after traveling the other week and having people visit, we did get a lot of exercise. We walked tons around the strip, and when I was in New Orleans, like walked up and down over there. But I really want to establish like a gym routine again, and I feel like it'll just help with like a lot of different things, like regulating sleep and like all these different things. So that is my do better for next week, is to really stick to those gym activity times. And it's part of the reason I have not been really active in the chat with you and Mary because I have been slipping on my goals.
It's okay. We're here to encourage you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I have weeks too that are like that.
I know.
So, that's what we're there. That's what it's there for. It's not to be like, oh, you didn't do it, you suck.
Yeah.
It's to be like, you got this. You're having a rough week. That's okay. You got this. You'll come back to it.
Exactly. There's no shame, right?
Exactly.
How about you?
Well, my do better is I want to start keeping my space a little bit cleaner. And what I mean by that is like my house is clean. Like it's, I
it's
did
as clean as you can keep it with a toddler. Like
it's as
honestly.
clean as I can keep it as a toddler. But I've noticed that in my office specifically, I have started like there's piles just surrounding my desk of just things that need to be dealt with. And so I haven't filed them away because they need to be dealt with. And then I've got a stack of books over here, and I've got a couple of like random notes that I haven't added to my list yet. So they're sitting here to remind me to add to my list. And it's just things that need to get done. And I do have better processes, but it's just been busy. And so things have just been stacking up, and I haven't been following the procedures I have in place to keep things organized. So my goal for this next week is to get things cleaned up and organized again so that I can stick to that. Because when my space, I don't know how you are, but like in my area, if my area is cluttered, it often reflects how I'm doing up here in my brain. And if I can start by having a fresh space, a clean space, things are organized and where they're supposed to be, I am more likely to be productive, and I'm more likely to stay on top of the things that I have in place to keep things running.
I am totally that way. I have felt really bad. Like I have not. My husband is so gracious. He washes the laundry. There are piles of laundry in our bedroom that need folding. And like we're to the point where like the clean laundry is in the hamper, so the dirty laundry can't go in the hamper. So I told him, I was like, straight up, this weekend chores will happen. I know that's my chore. And he was just like, well, we had people in town and you couldn't be home to do your chore. I was like, that is fair. Thank you for not judging me, for it. But yeah, I always feel guilty when he does his half, and I'm like, I'm not living up to my half and the things that I signed up for. So.
Yeah, but we all have our weeks, and that's great. Yeah. That's the great thing about having a supportive partner too.
Totally.
Especially as like a business owner, like, I'm a mom, so obviously having a supportive partner is like a must. But then like having a business and having a supportive partner is really important too, because there are just weeks, and just a marriage in general or a partnership in general is like, life is just like that. Like there are some weeks where you're not going to be doing 50-50 most of the time because things just happen and things come up. And when you have someone who's like, hey, no judgment, it's been crazy, or, that's okay. I'll make dinner all week because you don't have the bandwidth to do that. Even though you normally make the dinner, I'm going to make it this week, or, that's your thing that you normally do, but that's okay. I'll take care of it. And then you switch, like that's just how life is. So, I'm really glad that you have somebody that, supports you. And
likewise.
I do too. Yeah. Yeah. It's important. And thank you for being a great business partner.
Heart.
And this is the weird way. We do it the millennial way, by the way.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I don't
Got
even
this.
know. Wait, how is it?
It's like this way. It's the worst. I'm just like,
stupid. I don't like
yeah,
it.
this is it. That's
No
the way.
offense. No offense if you do
Yeah, no
your
Gen
hearts that
Z
way,
way. Yeah.
but you're wrong, and we don't like it. Anyway, I feel like that's a great place to end this week.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. And if you have any questions or want to suggest a guest or chat with us about anything, best way to do that is sending us a DM on Instagram. You can also email us at aloha@taketheleap-today.com. And until next time, we'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.